Hi guys, these are a series of videos I've been taking no longer than the last 7 days. I'm concerned because this video, plus some of the recent stuff I've taken, I know it sounds a bit silly, me waving to an alien on the cloud, but the fact remains that's exactly what I'm doing. And the thing is, you can see it. If you look, you can see it. So what it proves, whilst you're looking at a dragon right now, well, there's actually 2 dragons. Okay, what this proves is that there are beings cloaked within the clouds. They generate the cloud themselves, or clouds in our 3rd dimension, as we see them as clouds, are now, or should be considered, not clouds in the 4th dimension, because that's what's going on. Now you can argue whether you choose or care to look, to consider and become more aware that we should reevaluate our relationship between what we used to believe clouds, the function of clouds, how they're formed, and the actuality of the fact that this shows everybody that we should do that immediately. Okay? Clouds are not clouds. Maybe they used to be in our dimension, but we're crossing over. Or clouds have never been clouds. They're not in the 4th dimension. We are coexisting in a different spectrum of light, a different energy, but a different spectrum of light that does not, in this time, in this present moment, or should be a concern that it has or plays any effect in our dimension or our frequency of light. But we're starting to see it. I can see it. It's taken me a year to see as I do see it. I don't need a phone or a filter to see what I'm seeing. I'm only doing this primarily to prove to myself I'm not going crazy. Now it's more so I know I'm not crazy because what I'm seeing is real, which makes me even more crazy. So I continually make more videos so that you guys can see what I'm seeing, because you really need to understand, become aware, and we need to shift our consciousness from the 3rd to the 4th before it becomes unveiled as depicted in the Bible. It will do, and you will shit your pants. So if you're watching this for the first time, I'm really happy that you are, because if you begin to embrace this and accept that this is the reality, and start asking questions, what can happen from this? What is going to happen? Who are they? Blah, blah, blah. The minute you do that is the minute you accept things are not what they seem. You see, in my case, when you understand this, when you accept that things are not what they seem, and you're the only person that can make a difference with a voice of concern based on what you're seeing, and also based on the fact that no one's telling us this, no one's teaching us this exists. Governments are, trying to shape us into one world government, imposing lockdown worldwide against a pandemic that, let's face it, isn't as bad as the flu that kills everyone every year. People are losing their lives and their homes who are not even sick because they've been broken, taken their own lives, destroyed others, because they've been broken. The system was designed to break you. It does, and it has happened before. It will always happen. And we're further enslaved, aren't we? Yeah. So when you're the only person that can see something far more important, or let's just say this: is this the very reason why the government's locking us all down? Now, I don't think everybody knows everything. Even those that in power with all the knowledge, I don't think everybody knows everything. But I know one thing's for certain. The governments don't serve the people. The elite have raped this planet. And they've raped us, humans, from actually being human beings. We've been separated through religion, divided as a race, all sharing similarities of we worship certain gods and ethics and morals. And all these gods from all different religions were shaped by all the beings you're seeing right now in the sky. There's just 300 different species of sky gods. The Anunnaki left them behind. The last time there was a nuclear war between the two brothers, Enlil, who made us. This is our origins. Are fighting right now in a war above your head. And the planetary system where our makers came from is here again, as it has been the argument is 3,600 years. It could be whatever amount of years, but bottom line is this: every religion can agree upon that a planetary system such as this one does exist. Therefore, you have to understand that if that is the case, and the oldest writing in human history or mankind, is currently the Sumerian clay tablets, and in there describes most passages in most of the religions that have ever been formed. So it is the source, it is the origin, it is what's written. And I'm telling you now, these clouds that you would call clouds are not clouds, they're just not clouds anymore. Okay? And these clouds, I'm going to start calling them craft or beings, whatever you want to call it, they are the lowest to the ground I've ever seen them. They are monumentous sizes. The creatures are giants. There's a clue there, because we've seen them before, haven't we? And there are dragons that block out the sun. They're so huge. Every creature that's been depicted in folklore and fairytale, I've seen in this dimension. They exist. Everything you're seeing now, I've had to unravel using filters. But I can see this with the naked eye, because here I go, here comes another crazy part. But why does it sound so crazy when I say I have been abducted by aliens? You're looking at them now. It's just you don't want to accept it, or you're in denial because you're not looking for the truth, because most of you are liars. You're lying to yourself that everything's going to be okay. You're living in hope, but you're lying to yourself because you know it's not. What part of any of this is okay? Your government's screwing up your ass, shaping you up for some other thing that you do not need. Okay? You don't need it, but they're going to give it to you. But you just stand by and let it watch it happen until it's too late. So you're lying to yourself and you don't do anything about it. These very people that are manipulating your lives as a slave race has no intention of wishing you well tomorrow morning when you've got no food to eat. Their agenda's in place. They're all right. You have no idea how bad it's going to get. Do you think they're going to tell you about what's up in the sky? One can only hope that these beings, our makers, who apparently, and I'm putting it down, that they're the chariots of the Elohim, as depicted in the Bible. These are the chariots. They're at war over humans. That's what was happening the last time round they were here. Well, they're back. So the balance of us, our lives, our kind, really is in jeopardy. It's really who wins the war above your head that you would consider and call just clouds. Governments and the elitists have built military bases and bunkers and funded so much so that they've got their underground city to live in if all shit hits the fan. If this planetary system wipes Earth clean, if the apparent 1 million mile long meteorite or asteroid belt being pulled from the Kuiper belt through with the system, it will plummet to Earth at some point when it goes back out. If the polar shift or the Earth's crust doesn't, screw us up enough already. So there's a lot of preparation that's been going on for many years. If you follow the trails, the breadcrumbs, this isn't just it's a worldwide thing. It's this understanding of things. But we are blinded, manipulated, enslaved, and we're not standing up to this, and that's the problem. Maybe they would stop fighting each other if they actually saw us doing that, because the only reason that there are a faction that's supporting us is because they also understand we've been left to our own devices. We were made irresponsibly, perhaps, but it is the responsibility to leave us alone and let us be. But the problem with that is those that are in power are completely screwed the human race and the planet in the process. It's the small minority that's put us all in jeopardy, but we've done them no favours. We've only empowered them by doing nothing about it. If we all stood up together as a collective, a unified race, the human race, and said no, thank you, we don't need this controlled conditioning. We'll just be sick. We'll do what we want. We're not going to pay our bills. Switch us off. Whatever. We'll stick together. We can be civilised. We don't cause civil unrest. We don't cause propaganda and pile a lot of shit down our necks and don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. That's the governments of the world for you. Greed and the hypocrisy, and it's just embarrassing, isn't it? Let's face it, it's embarrassing. But I feel sick to death just sitting here and seeing this all unfold when we should all be standing up. If we all stood up and fought against the governments and just said no, don't need this, don't want that, thank you, we'd be all right. We don't need anything you need to tell us to do anymore. Switch off your TVs. We don't need TVs. Build communities, live together. Switch off the TV. No, thank you. We don't need your electric. Don't need your. Thank you. Bye. Do your own thing. You've got the power and the intelligence and the skill sets that you've learned already to, build communities of your own. What do you need to rely on these dipshits who are they're going underground? They don't give a shit about the surface. That's why they've been morons this entire time. They knew this time was coming. So let's just rape the planet for what we can. look like we're doing a good thing, but we're not. Go underground at some point, and, who gives a shit about the top side? We'll tolerate it until then. We'll get away with murder and everything else the world's been. And when this time comes, we'll be alright with going underground. Yeah, that's where we're at, guys. Oh dear. It's incredible, really. I haven't even looked at this video, I'm just chatting. But I know what it represents. Biblical creatures are not what you think they are. They never were. I'm not saying there ain't any angels flapping around, but I haven't seen any. You're going to have to get used to the fact and process the entire sky or dimension when they cross is filled with insectoids and mammals and aquatic creatures. Essentially, all life that you're familiar with in wildlife shows and in some certain cases things that you eat, take for granted and kill and shoot for trophies, they are basically top of the food chain. You better wish and hope and pray that they don't want to eat you when the time comes. Saying that, there is a little bit of hope in that sense. They could do that in your sleep right now. They haven't done it. I don't think there's a cause or need for that. But that's the way things go in the fourth dimension. No, I actually see a little bit of hope in the sky because there's been a concern this entire time in the sense of messages, language that I see in the sky, in the forest, and in my home right now where I'm sitting. I've got about 35 beings in my room, and that's no joke. I've made art in the form of paintings that have been written on blank paper by beings with these such messages I'm talking about. It's in a language that looks like a cuneiform, which is quite ironic because the number 300 that I'm being shown all the time is and does represent the sky gods, Anunnaki 300 sky gods. So this is our makers. The language that they speak is the same language nature can tap into. It's a consciousness that we could learn. It's the truth. It speaks the truth, and the truth is we are in the balance of extermination, or we'll be saved. Now, I don't know if whoever wins this war, will they take out the elite that's raped this planet? Or will they simply allow them to continually run this planet whilst it gets depopulated? Seems to be the consensus or the agenda of the elitist. Perhaps they just thought we'd just ride it out and let the natural disasters or the creatures do that for us. We've done our bit. Have you really? Selfish, greedy, sadistic motherfucker. Sorry, I don't mean to swear, but, it angers me. Look where we're at. You don't even know me, and I'm showing you your future. And there'll be haters and trolls, whatever. If you're not resonating on the right frequency, my friend, you're not going to see this stuff. If you're not looking for the truth, you're a liar, you're a dipshit bullshit artist, you're going to perish and get left behind. You young soul, you. Not your fault. I promise to experience all expressions as expressions of absolute love. Which means, even when you're laughing in my face, calling me an idiot, crackpot, whatever, I'm loving you, my friend, because I see what you are lacking, that you need, that you've never had, or never felt, and perhaps never will, which is causing you to be an arsehole. I love you. There's nothing you can say that's going to tell me I'm wrong. So for those of you who still are scratching your head and baffled and thinking about what else to watch next, you're looking at an ET race that lives in the clouds, because they are the clouds. Whether they were before COVID-19 or not, or whether they were, whatever's happened, there's been a shift of dimension or crossover. Probably due to the fact that a planetary system that is said to exist is here because it does exist. Whether that's causing it through energy or technology that's doing this, who can say? But clouds are craft. Clouds are creatures. Very large ones, and on the very tops of every creature which is a craft, or a carrier of each colony of species of God, which are aliens that sit on the very tops of the head